Thank you, everybody. On this beautiful day that we think is spring, but we know we're going to have another heavy snowfall at some point in the next month. And thank you, Ting, for your poop story. Anyone who listens to the recording will say, "What poop story?" Are there any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I have two questions. First, I don't know if I understand the story. So there's a mouse that was pooping everywhere, or she thought was pooping everywhere.
She had an outhouse, and the mouse was in the outhouse where her poop was.
Okay. Got it. Second, why are drugs bad?
Why are drugs bad? What a wonderful question. Some people don't think they're bad, and some people do think they're bad. I'm assuming you're not referring to aspirin or heart medicine or, insulin. You're assuming to psychoactive drugs. Yeah, so my personal feeling, I wouldn't say bad, but I'm not in favor of them. And that's from a long, long time ago. I took a lot of drugs. I was living with a dope dealer, and he was very unsuccessful. And so we had no money and a lot of drugs. And from that experience, my experience is that it's not so good to not have your mind and body in contact with each other. That's not a good thing. And that it's not a good thing to not be able to respond if suddenly something arises. And I actually had that experience a long time before I was taking drugs. I haven't had any drugs in like 50 years, so, it's been a long time. But even before I'd ever had any psychoactive, official psychoactive, illegal type drugs, I had extremely bad period cramps. And one time when I was in college, they were just so awful. And my college, we had an infirmary back then. They don't do that anymore, but there was an infirmary. And I somehow dragged myself to the infirmary, and they gave me some really strong opioid. I don't know what it was, but very, very strong opioid. And I struggled back to my dorm room, and I just lay in my bed in a fetal position, with this opioid coursing through my body. And a friend came with a very serious personal problem. It was an emergency, like a psychological emergency, and I could not help her. And she made some decisions which were not really helpful for her, and she ended up having a psychotic breakdown. And in part because, I felt some responsibility because there were things I could have suggested that I wasn't able to suggest. So for me, that's the sort of question, are you able to function? And our school is Wake Up and Help This World. Our school is about correct situation. Do you see, correct doesn't mean it's right or wrong, it means do you see what the situation actually is? Do you see a relationship to the situation? And then do you see your function in that situation? And psychoactive drugs prevent, and that even goes like to beer, right? Any psychoactive drugs, they prevent your being able to function in a situation. On the other hand, some people are so tight and they're so whatever, and they need something to open them up. So that's their experience. My experience is that I never encourage anyone to have psychoactive drugs. One of our precepts, it's not don't get drunk or don't take drugs, it's do not take intoxicants to induce heedlessness. So that's the point, it's the heedlessness that's the problem. So that's my own take, but there are people I respect who disagree with me. So everyone has to make up their own mind, everyone has to see what their life is like, but function is so important. It's just really important. So some people need something to get them out of whatever they're in so that they can function, and other people, no, sorry. You know, even when I drink alcohol, which I love the taste, but it's not, my body and mind don't like it. I feel like somebody's going like this to me, you know? It's just so uncomfortable for me. But like I say, everyone's different, you know? So everyone has to decide themselves what works in their life. Yeah. Thank you for your question. Are there any other questions behind you?
Okay, so I remember quite a long time ago, you were telling a story about how you got in a taxi and you were trying to find a place.
Wait, hold on a second. You're speaking softly. Do people hear? Can you hear the question now?
Very quiet.
Yeah, please.
Very quiet.
Yeah, please
So
loud.
you were in a taxi and you were trying to find some place, I can't remember exactly, but when you got there, you explained how they would, if they thought you were sleeping, they would bop, 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 and try and wake you up. I guess.
You sure that was me? I don't.
think so, or maybe you were telling a story about somebody else, or.
Oh gosh, I don't.
something that-
Stan, do you remember this?
It's over a year ago.
Okay.
And I guess I keep thinking about that, and I was like, well, why would they whack you or make that sound to wake you up? It kind of seems like it goes against.
Oh, you're talking about hitting with a stick and the retreats. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay, Ting, you want to grab the stick and you can show people? Yeah, so we have this hitting stick. I don't know its name in Korean. So, wait, I have to put it in front of the camera. So this is it, you know, and it's slightly curved here and it's flat here. And well, it's not making a sound. It's not making a sound. It makes a very loud sound when you do it correctly. And you can put it back now, thank you. And it looks very frightening and very scary. And, oh, I know what you're talking about. So I went to Japan. I went to Japan once to sit with a wonderful Japanese Rinzai teacher. And I would usually sit with him up in near Seattle and Whidbey Island, but he also has a place in Japan. And so I went to the place in Japan one time, and I got into the airport very late, and nobody spoke English. And, you know, I find a cab, and I show him the piece of paper that says where I have to go, and he can't read English. And then I say Zen, and he goes, oh, wop, wop, wop. So what this stick is, the names that it's called are like wake up stick. And what it's about, it looks very frightening. It's actually not. You know, like if you slap yourself to wake up and you have that little sting, and it's not that unpleasant. It's not great, but it's not unpleasant. It kind of wakes you up. It's kind of like that. So it's a slapstick, and a slapstick means that when you hit it, it kind of goes like that. It doesn't stay down there. It just goes like that. That's why it makes a loud sound. You hit the large muscle here, and it makes a loud sound. And so everyone else wakes up too. But it's really not like punishing, and it's really to wake you up. Because you're sitting there, you know, you're sitting there on a retreat, and you're getting just kind of, you know, and you're going to fall over any second, right? Or what else can happen, and usually happens, is you're really tense. It's like an instant massage. So our rule is you have to ask for it. We don't hit people, you know. There's some places where if you notice someone's nodding off, you will stand in front of them and sort of tap them, you know, and then you'll hit them. But the way we do it is you ask for it, and people ask for it because their body really hurts, or they're really tired, and they need something to, you know, get them back to functioning. So that's what it's about. That's what it's for. Yeah. And yeah, it's very scary, but it really isn't. I remember the very first retreat I sat, and the rule back then is they hit everybody. The last round, everybody got hit, you know. And I didn't know that. And I sat there and this person standing in front of me and I go like this and I go, I didn't do anything! Right out loud, you know? And it's a retreat service, nobody responds. But yeah, that's what that's about. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, the reason actually that we have these things on the windows there so that people can't see in is exactly because of the hitting stick, so that nobody can see it from the outside. Because yeah, right. Because it's such a weird thing, you know. You see somebody going boom, 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 you know, and people are, thank you very much, you know. It's like really weird, but it's extremely functional. And if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your question. Are there any other questions? Yes. Oh, microphone?
Team, in your talk, I think the last part of it, you referenced standing inside yourself. Is that what you said?
Standing, it's a stand. So you look inside.
And can you please say more to that?
I'm the one who says more.
She's a teacher.
Well,
Okay, so language is very interesting. So De Kwangsenim, who actually started practice here, his lay name is James Binger. And he became a monk, and then he became a teacher, and then he became a Zen master. And he's actually the person who made me a teacher. So De Kwangsenim likes to talk about inside, and I like to talk about outside, but they're actually the same. Because inside and outside are not distinct. So you're sitting there, and maybe somebody is coughing. Can you let that in without responding to it and saying, oh God, it's so noisy, oh, that poor person, I wonder how they're doing. You know, well, you're not going to do anything about it, right? You're sitting, right? It's not your job to help somebody, get them a glass of water. There are people whose job it might be, but not yours. So the mind does these things with any kind of stimulation. We do these things. And then the question is, are we aware of it? So I would put it as, can you just let that in without adding anything to it? And he might say, can you look inside, see what your reaction is? The same thing, different language. So there's a very great Korean teacher, Chinul, who was 13th century, I believe. And he would talk about tracing back the radiance. And that's the radiance of our original minds, of our pure and clear minds, of our Buddha nature. So that as you're sitting, the way he put it, and I think that this is where De Kwangsenim is sort of getting it from, is that you trace back the radiance, these thoughts that come in, instead of squelching them or anything, you trace them back to that original radiance. So that is one way to look at it. But it's, you know, it's like you're pointing this way and another person's pointing that way. You're pointing the wrong direction. No, you're pointing the direction, but you know, they're pointing at the same thing, right? It's right there. Both pointing to it, boom, right there, right? Okay. So thank you very much for your question. And time for one more short question, if there is one. Yes.
I don't know how short it is, but talking about so you know the experience. What and actually, okay, so something that you may be pushing away. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, and so like in practice, it's okay. You do practice so that it comes up and you push it away, but it doesn't come up during practice. I mean, it comes up when something outside of my practice triggers.
You shouldn't push it away in practice.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, that you shouldn't push it away.
Right.
But when I'm doing my formal practice is not when it comes up.
Don't
When it comes up, yeah, but what's the technique for that? I mean, I'm not sitting in meditation during that.
Can you give us an idea of what you're talking about? Because that would help. It's hard to respond so abstractly.
Well, it would be something that happened in my past. I'll just
something that happened in your past.
and so junior high being made fun of, but
You
then,
too?
yeah. And so then something triggers it, and and not while you're in formal, it doesn't come up during my formal practice,
If
but maybe
something triggers
something
it, that's wonderful.
yeah, but how do you deal with it? Because then it's like, woo, forget it,
No,
forget it.
no, 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 no. Something triggers it, and that you can trace that radiance right then. Something triggers it, and oh, look what just happened. Look what happened inside me, so to speak. Look what just happened in my mind. This thing came up, and look at what just happened. That's a great gift. Because usually I love the word demons because it implies that it's not like innate to us. So usually these demons push us around. We don't even know who they are. But this demon appeared and it pushed you around. And you saw that. You saw, oh, that's that demon. Oh, okay. And this is what happened. This is how I responded. Okay, I don't have to do that anymore. Yeah? Yeah. So it's like, Zen Master Songhyang Barbara Rhodes wrote this book, Composting Our Karma. That's exactly what she's talking about. I bet nobody threw orange pits at you at lunchtime.
No, but my mom was the school cook, so I wouldn't have got away with it. Not because it was to me, but because she had to clean the floor, and you didn't do that.
All right. Okay. Well, that's a lovely way to end. Thank you. We can stop recording.